All right, got 205 on the bar, about to start my training session. Since great things always come in threes, I'm gonna do 3 sets, and after each set, I'm gonna give you a tip. So I'm gonna give you a total of 3 tips about how to improve your bench press. Take it from me, I'm not somebody who has a great bench press, I'm not gonna lie. I'm actually at a point where bench press is kind of taking a back seat to a lot of things. However, for somebody who, in my opinion, doesn't have the best genetics for the bench press, I have made a lot of progress over the years. I was able to bench 300 pounds at one point. I mean, with my body weight much lower now, that ship has sailed a little bit. But I am constantly setting pound for pound PRs in the bench press, training cycle after training cycle, pretty consistently. And for something that I haven't given it my full attention to yet, I think that's pretty good. I mean, it's always been a tough one for me, but I have learned a lot over the years. It's one of the exercises I've been doing for the longest time, and I've helped a lot of people improve their bench press a lot. I've specifically helped improve somebody go from around a 315 bench press to a 355 bench press before. So I don't know. I feel like every time I say something like that, it feels like I'm bragging, but I really don't want to. I want to basically prove to people that I can help you. So that's all I'm trying to communicate here. But let's go. 3 sets, 3 tips coming at you right now. Tip number 1, retract your damn scapula. I know Chris Jones uses more profanity when talking about this. Where it comes into play most is the setup. Get your setup right and really squeeze down, retract your scapula hard, back it down in your setup. You see how I do my setup. I arch on the bench, I put my feet up on the bench and do almost like a glute bridge and really try to drive my shoulders and my traps in. But when I'm doing that, I'm really trying to pull down my scapula. Like say Mark Bell says, tuck your scaps into your pocket. I mean, I have honestly pretty bad thoracic mobility. It just decreases the distance between the bar and your chest, one, but also it just keeps you locked in and keeps your shoulders in a safe place for pressing. Tip number 2, be specific. I see a lot of people, what exercises are gonna help my bench press the most? What exercise is gonna help my bench press the most? Okay, first off, the number 1 exercise that is gonna help your bench press the most is benching. Bench pressing is a skill. You need to practice the skill. You need to practice bench pressing. If you're doing other things, you're doing dumbbell press, that's it. The difference between doing a dumbbell press and a bench press with a barbell or a competition bench press is completely, it's so much different. So when you're talking variations, stick to the things that are with a bar or probably on a flat bench that are gonna be more related to the bench press. So this is bench press, this is pause bench press, 2 count, 3 count, 5 count, pause bench press, close grip bench press, board press, bench with bands and chains. All of these things are basically bench press just with a little bit of a tweak. Larson press, there's so many variations. But don't come in here telling me that I want to increase my bench press, which I do for dumbbells. It's just, no. Dumbbells can help. They're gonna help add hypertrophy. They're gonna help drive hypertrophy and add more volume. But to help your bench press, it's probably not gonna happen. At least when you're, more in an advanced stage, at least. Tip number 3, have a plan. This one, in my opinion, is what helped my bench the most when I was first learning and trying to figure out how to really get stronger. Finding the right plan is so important. There's a million programs out there. I suggest looking up or finding a powerlifting plan. You know, I don't understand why people do programs that aren't specific to the bench press when they're trying to increase their bench press. Specificity, like I said before, is so important, but specificity in terms of how you raise volume. If your goal is to improve your 1 rep max, you need to start with high volume, you need to start with low intensity, and you need to do the opposite. You need to raise the intensity, lower the volume, or, you know, obviously you can, if you're more advanced, you could do stuff with tapers and stuff. That's kind of up to you, and that's kind of up to you to really figure out what works best for you as you progress. So that's tip number 3, is find a plan, find the right plan. Maybe even find a coach if that is something that you are going to struggle with, is programming. You know, that's what the coaches are there for, you to help you along the way and kind of get you more to understand what is really going to drive progress for you. So have a plan, have a consistent plan, and stick to it as much as you can. So that's tip number 3. Today's leg day, and if you've been watching my vlogs, you watched last week's vlog, you'll see that I failed on my top set of front squat. So today I want to change it up, and I want to, once I hit that point, my goal is to change it up to a French contrast method style of training. Now, for those of you who don't know what the French contrast method is, as in kind of like short, it's just like a big giant set, and it has you going from a heavy movement to a speed movement to another heavy speed movement to then an overspeed movement. It's almost like kind of like a giant set, but you're allowed to wait 20 seconds between each movement, and then after you do that, after you do all 4 of those, you stop, take a 2 to 3 minute break, and then go for another round. And what this is supposed to do is create post-activation potentiation, and essentially what that means is almost like if you ever moved like a couch or something, and then you go to pick something light up after that. You might experience this if you're doing maybe back off sets, where you do it one top heavy single or one top set, and the weight feels so heavy, and then you go to do something that's, I don't know, 20, 30, 40, 50 pounds less, and you just rip the weight off the ground. It's kind of that effect that you're getting. And essentially what this is doing is it's almost like telling your muscles, hey, you know, we need to pick up this really heavy thing, or we need to move this really heavy thing. Say it's a squat, and you're really trying to move like almost like a max squat or a heavy squat, and then when you go to a jump, you know, your body's thinking, or your muscles are thinking like, oh, we need to move all this weight again, but there's no weight, so it just feels like you're kind of rocketing off. So that's kind of a paraphrase of what it is. I'm going to do a more in-depth video in more detail, and probably hopefully put studies on the French contrast and just the regular contrast method, so you can learn a little bit more about that. Something that I think is very interesting and has a lot of potential for people who are trying to gain power, especially in sports. So that is what I'm going for today. Also, I don't know, I'm not 100% on this yet, but I may alter the weeks, so I might do like a squat based or a more of a knee dominant French contrast method training session on like today, and then next week I will do more of like a hip dominant. That is in short what I'm going to be doing. So now it's time for the fun part. Let's get into it. Now, that was a French contrast training session. So the importance of the ISO, or where I was pausing at the top of the squat, quarter squat pause, there is basically to give yourself the stimulus of, okay, this is the position where I need to produce maximal force when I jump. Then going over to the speed depth jump. As you know, the depth jumps are really helpful when trying to improve your landing mechanics. It's more like a ballistic type of movement. For those of you who don't really know about depth jumps, I've done a couple videos on them, so you could check those out. And then the half squat, the speed half squat. Yeah, okay, half squat. It just makes me cringe too. At the end of the day, like a full squat, how many times in your sport are you in a full squat, in a deep squat? Not very often. I want to put an emphasis on when you go down on the eccentric, you want to move fast. You want to basically have your muscles, your glutes, your quads, your hamstrings, all the muscles, your core, everything is firing to almost catch you, like when you're shooting down. You know, obviously you're supposed to do this with very light weight at this point. I'm using 135 because I refuse to go any lower. But if you need to go lower, absolutely go lower. I mean, I've been squatting for a really long time, so I know I can handle 135, any which I could squat it upside down. So the importance of that, basically, that's getting your muscles to fire very fast, eccentrically, and then to overcome that, think about how strong you're kind of building your stretch shortening cycle when you're kind of going as fast as you can, your muscles to catch and just throw it back up as fast as it can. That is going to make you basically you're practicing firing your muscles as hard as you can. So that's a really cool way to do it, in my opinion. And then the band assisted jumps is like overspeed. But what the purpose of the overspeed is to teach you to decelerate, because you're going faster than you ever have before, and your body needs to learn how to decelerate from that top speed. So if you can learn how to decelerate from that top speed, you can accelerate to that top speed, and you can hold that top speed. So that's kind of just my thoughts and like some stuff I want to break down, explain to you about those movements in particular. I'll probably be doing all of them pretty regularly in the next 6 weeks. So next time I do a French contrast training method, if I decide to do a hip dominant one, I will break down those exercises as well, or if I add in different ones in this more knee dominant type of session. So that's that. On to glute ham raises, one-legged glute bridge, and abs to finish up. So let's do that. All right, welcome back to yet another voiceover. I'm gonna make this one short and sweet. I wanted to just talk about my top speed day. I actually did this the day after the French contrast method. My whole idea of this was to carry over some of the effects of that training session. It's a good way to end it. Got a dunk, almost had a dribble off 2 feet. I guess that was brutal. But I'm gonna go to the field, run some sprints, and I'll be back at you in a second. All right, so we're gonna start the sprint training session in the backyard because the field was taken. It's like a football game going on. So 30-yard flying sprints and some 40s to wrap it up. And got a training partner with me today. You're gonna see how fast Adam is. However, I did feel a little bit of hamstring soreness, and I think that was because of the glute ham raises and the one-leg glute bridges I did at the end. So I think I might tone the volume down a little bit next week. We'll see, but I actually felt really good during this day, and I ended up getting 3 dunks. So that is a personal record for me, actually. And despite feeling sore, I actually was pretty bouncy, so that was good. And then we went back to the house and finished top speed, just doing some flying sprints and some 40s, just trying to up the volume a little bit. I apologize for the crooked ass footage. It's very hilly in my backyard, but I really need to work on my front side arm swing. I need to swing my arms higher and not allow them to go back as far as I'm letting them now that I watch this footage. The 40-yard dash setup is getting better, It's still a work in progress, but where you would see me, you know, kind of land with my heel to the ground and see the heel come up to my butt and me pop up a little bit, I'm starting to create a better forward lean, and that is going to just overall help me accelerate faster into my top speed phase of the race. So that's it. And as always, thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next video. Peace out. I have like brain fog right now. Holy shit. I need to eat something. That's really what I need to do.